Nets at construction sites coming down. The least affected Tai Po fire residents return to collect belongings for a second day. And China and France leaders meet in Beijing. Hello and welcome to TVB News. I'm Melissa Hekalea. The government ordered all scaffolding nettings in buildings undergoing renovation across the city to be removed by Saturday. This after suspected forged safety certificates for scaffolding netting were found at Fortress Garden in North Point and Fenghua Estate in Taiwan. Samantha Lee reports.
Workers began dismantling scaffolding nettings at Fenghua Estate in Taiwan this morning. The removed nettings were placed in a skip by the roadside. The government said last night that the safety certificates for scaffolding nettings used in Fenghua Estate are suspected to be fraudulent. Some residents were shocked. This worried man questioned why the government was not aware of the problematic netting in the first place. He hoped officials could promptly follow up on the matter in their capacity as gatekeepers. This man came to visit his father, who lives here. He said he felt more comfortable to have the nettings taken down. Life always comes before money. I don't mind paying more for repair works if better quality materials are used, said this resident. Notices are posted in the housing estate informing residents that the owners' corporation has appointed an independent accredited testing center to examine the flame-retardant performance of the scaffolding netting. The police, in the meantime, collected 4 samples of nettings from Hufeng House and Southern House for testing. The housing department also came to the estate for inspection and sampling. Meanwhile, workers continued to take down scaffolding nettings from buildings at Shuiwo Court in Shatin. The order to immediately remove scaffolding netting by the Development Bureau applies to around 200 private buildings and 10 public projects. Contractors have to bear the costs. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
Some residents of Wang Chi House arrived at Wang Fuk Court to pick up their belongings. This is the second and final day that residents can enter the only block that did not catch fire during the deadly Tai Po blaze. Mimo Singhai reports.
The Police Force Disaster Victim Identification Unit, or DVIU, arrived at Wang Fuk Court on Thursday morning. Sources say the officers will stay outdoors to search for any body remains that could be covered by the fallen bamboo scaffoldings. Meanwhile, a coach that carried Wang Chi House residents arrived outside Wang Fuk Court. Some brought suitcases to take away their belongings. Members of the government emergency response team were there to assist them. A truck loaded with cardboard boxes was parked near the complex, providing residents with free packing material. Free taxi rides were also available. This Wang Chi House resident said she came back to collect essential items. The woman said her apartment's floor was wet, but everything else was not damaged. Thanks for the blessing, she said. A few individuals decided to take out many items, including fans, a washing machine, and even a refrigerator. Wang Chi House residents have been allowed to return homes to collect personal items since Wednesday. 2 members of each household can go inside the block between 9 a.m. and 9 p.m.
The calamity happened more than a week ago, but the atmosphere in the surrounding area remains somber. It is not difficult to see passers-by stop and stare at the fire site. Memos 9, TVB News.
The Real Estate Developers Association will be meeting to discuss a smoking ban for construction workers on Friday at the earliest. After Tai Po's tragedy, more people are paying attention to the issue of workers smoking on construction sites. A property developer said workers are not allowed to bring cigarettes to its construction sites starting this month. A sign says that those who violate the rule will receive a fine of $5,000 and will be kicked out of the construction site. Sources say foremen will conduct body checks on workers. The government will increase the living allowance for Tai Po fire victims from $50,000 to $100,000. Authorities also said they will stay with the residents and offer help according to their needs. Speaking to the media, Secretary for Home and Youth Affairs Alice Mak said authorities have arranged more than 1,200 Wang Fuk Court residents to stay in hostels and hotels. Mak said the residents will later be moved to transitional housing. As to how the government will help the victims in terms of long-term housing, Mak said the government is working on it. With the government and community organizations providing relief subsidies to the victims of the Tai Po fire, it's suspected some people are trying to change their banking address to that of Wang Fuk Court, the location of the fire, possibly in an attempt to get subsidies dishonestly. Postings on social media said someone who works at a bank on Hong Kong Island revealed some people have gone to bank counters specifically to change their mailing addresses to Wang Fuk Court. These people are suspected of trying to fraudulently obtain these subsidies. These accounts have been reported as suspicious or problematic. President Xi Jinping stated today in talks with visiting French President Emmanuel Macron that the two countries should steadily advance their comprehensive strategic partnership for an equal and orderly multipolar world. The two parties have agreed to strive for balanced development of bilateral economic and trade relations. Danny Zhou has more.
President Xi and his wife Peng Liyuan gave France's first couple a grand red carpet welcome, complete with the inspection of the Guard of Honor and a 21-gun salute at the Tiananmen Square. Macron, who arrived in Beijing the previous day, is currently paying a reciprocal state visit through Friday at the invitation of the Chinese leader. During high-level talks at the Great Hall of the People, Xi said China and France serve as constructive forces in advancing multipolarity and solidarity. Xi pointed out, faced with changes unseen in a century, the humanity once again stands at a crossroads, and the two nations should demonstrate a sense of responsibility, raise high the banner of multilateralism, and stand firmly on the right side of history. Macron stated France is willing to continuously deepen bilateral ties and proposed a threefold agenda of geopolitical stability, economic rebalancing, and environmental sustainability. Xi has signaled China's open door will only open wider. He pledged to expand market access and two-way investment and called on promoting mutually beneficial cooperation with the European Union. Regarding the Ukraine crisis, Xi voiced support for a ceasefire and all peacemaking efforts and said he hopes all parties will reach a fair, lasting, binding peace deal acceptable to all parties via dialogue and negotiation. 12 cooperation documents were signed between China and France covering areas of higher education, culture, investment, nuclear energy, dairy industry and giant panda conservation. The two presidents also attended the closing ceremony of the 7th meeting of China-France Business Council. They are due to travel to Chengdu in southwestern Sichuan province on Friday for talks in Dujiangyan, one of the world's oldest irrigation systems. Danny Zhou, TVB News.
Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi said her position regarding Taiwan remains unchanged at a parliamentary session yesterday. The move was commended by some heavyweights of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party, but has drawn renewed condemnation from the Taiwan Affairs Office in Beijing. A spokesperson demanded Takaichi to retract the wrongful remarks and cease interfering in China's internal affairs. She stressed China's sovereignty over Taiwan was confirmed in multiple international legal instruments, such as the Cairo Declaration, which have formed an integral part of the post-war international order. Meanwhile, LDP Vice President Taro Aso remarked that China's rhetorical attack was no big deal, as he claims the matter has not developed into any major problems yet. Welcome back. Federal agents began hitting the streets of New Orleans as U.S. President Donald Trump's administration continues its latest immigration crackdown, looking to round up immigrants accused of violent crimes. Meanwhile, Trump doubled down on his comments on Somali immigrants living in the U.S. Daniel Rowell tells us more.
Masked agents patrolled a heavily Hispanic New Orleans suburb in marked and unmarked vehicles. There are more than 200 Customs and Border Protection and U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials working on the New Orleans operation, according to a U.S. official who is not authorized to discuss the matter publicly. The official said the objective is to make as many arrests as possible over at least 60 days. U.S. Homeland Security Department Assistant Secretary Tricia McLaughlin said the New Orleans operation is targeting immigrants who were released after arrests for crimes such as home invasion, armed robbery and rape. Another operation is expected soon in Minnesota, targeting Somali immigrants. The enforcement tactics have been met with protests and lawsuits. Meanwhile, U.S. President Donald Trump doubled down on Wednesday on earlier comments he made about Somali immigrants living in the U.S., saying they've destroyed our country.
Look how bad their nation is. It's not even a nation, it's just people walking around killing each other. Look, these Somalians have taken billions of dollars out of our country. They've taken billions and billions of dollars. They have a representative, Ilhan Omar, who they say married her brother. It's a fraud. She tries to deny it now, but you can't really deny it because, it just happened.
Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry said the U.S. president repeatedly slamming Somali immigrants violates the moral fabric of what we stand by in the country as Americans. Trump responded that Fry was a fool. The Minneapolis-St. Paul area is home to about 84,000 people of Somali descent, nearly one-third of the Somalis living in the U.S. Refugees from the East African nation have been coming to the frigid plains of Minnesota since the 1990s, drawn by the state's generous social services and an ever-growing diaspora community. The president's comment came days after his administration announced it is halting all asylum decisions following the shooting of 2 U.S. National Guard soldiers in Washington. The suspect is originally from Afghanistan, but Trump has used the moment to raise questions about immigrants from other nations, including Somalia. Daniel Rowell, TV News.
According to Associated Press reports, the U.S. Pentagon knew there were survivors after a September attack on an alleged drug boat in the Caribbean Sea, and the military still carried out a follow-up strike. The Trump administration had said Admiral Frank Mitch Bradley ordered the strike. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has defended the second strike as emerging in the fog of war. Hegseth said Bradley made the right call, ordering the second hit, and said he had complete authority to do so. Donald Trump said he has no problems releasing any of the video of the second strike.
I don't know what they have, but whatever they have, we'd certainly release, no problem. We stopped every boat we knock out. We saved 25,000 American lives.
That's right.
And if you look at our numbers, the drugs coming in through sea are down 91%.
President Putin is starting a 2-day visit to India where he's keen to deepen Russia's economic, defense, and energy relations with the world's most populous nation. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi will meet with Putin tomorrow. The two already have a long-term friendly relationship. India will push for the delivery of air defense systems as part of a deal signed in 2018. The U.S. has been critical of Modi for buying Russian oil, which Washington says helps finance the war in Ukraine. India defended imports, saying it's essential for meeting the energy needs of its 1.4 billion people. In retaliation, Trump imposed additional tariffs on Indian imports, raising total duties to 50%. Thai officials say remains handed over to Israel by militants in Gaza have been identified as belonging to the last Thai hostage taken during the October 7, 2023 attack that launched the war between Israel and Hamas. The remains were identified as those of Sutisak Rintalak, a Thai national who was an agricultural worker in Israel. The return of all the hostages taken during the attack that started the war is a key element of the first phase of the ceasefire that began in October, which both Hamas and Israel have accused the other of breaking. The Thai Foreign Ministry says that Sutisak's family has been notified. The ministry added that he was killed on the day of the attack and his body was taken into Gaza. Back locally, the Independent Commission Against Corruption has arrested 4 men for allegedly reposting an online post or leaving comments on social media to incite others not to vote or to cast invalid votes at the Legislative Council election this Sunday. The 4 arrestees are aged between 37 and 62. Their actions are in contravention of the Section 27A of the Elections Ordinance. The ICAC will seek legal advice from the Department of Justice on prosecution upon completion of the investigation. The ICAC had earlier charged 3 other individuals with the offense in relation to the current LegCo election. Today is National Constitution Day. The Hong Kong SAR government and the Liaison Office of the Central People's Government in Hong Kong held a seminar at the Convention and Exhibition Centre. Samantha Lee has more.
Before the seminar started, a minute's silence was observed for the victims of the Tai Po fire. This year's seminar is conducted under the theme of the Constitution and the Great Rejuvenation of the Chinese nation. In attendance were Chief Executive John Lee, Deputy Director of Beijing's Liaison Office in Hong Kong, Liu Guanyuan, among others. In Lee's speech, he expressed his condolences to the victims of the Tai Po fire. He pledged to probe the incident thoroughly. We will transform this painful lesson into measures to improve urban safety and reform the system, he said. He said this disaster has strengthened his belief in the spirit of the Constitution and the rule of law and safeguarding the people's well-being. Liu Guanyuan said the President Xi Jinping attaches great importance to the fire, while endorsing the effective relief work by the SAR government. He also accused people with ulterior motives of taking the opportunity to cause troubles. Samantha Lee, TVB News.
That's the news. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.